When people think of invasive species in Florida, their minds often jump to the colossal Burmese python, a snake that has dominated headlines for its devastating impact on the state's mammal populations. But lurking beneath the water's surface, a far more insidious and perhaps more dangerous battle is being waged. The Asian swamp eel, a creature that looks like a cross between a snake and an eel, has been quietly establishing a stronghold in the Sunshine State's intricate network of canals, marshes, and even the iconic Everglades. It is a silent, slithering threat that is dismantling the very foundation of Florida's aquatic ecosystems, working from the bottom up in a way that is hard to see until the damage is already done. First identified in Florida back in 1997 near Tampa and Miami, the Asian swamp eel likely arrived through accidental or intentional releases from the live food or aquarium trades. What started as small, isolated populations has since exploded into a statewide crisis. This isn't your typical fish. The swamp eel is a master of survival, equipped with a suite of biological superpowers that make it a formidable invader. Its most remarkable trait is the ability to breathe air. This allows it to thrive in stagnant, oxygen-poor waters where native fish would perish, and it can even survive long periods of drought by burrowing deep into the mud, waiting for the rains to return. This adaptability gives it an incredible advantage over native species. The eel's physical characteristics further enhance its invasive potential. Lacking the fins of most fish, its smooth cylindrical body is perfectly designed for burrowing and wriggling through dense vegetation. Astonishingly, it can even move across damp land, slithering from one isolated pond or canal to another, constantly expanding its territory. It is a generalist predator of the highest order, acting like an underwater vacuum cleaner. Using powerful suction, it inhales a wide variety of prey, including crayfish, shrimp, worms, insects, and the small fish that form the base of the entire aquatic food web. It is this indiscriminate, voracious appetite that makes its presence so catastrophic for Florida's native wildlife. The spread of the Asian swamp eel is a slow-motion disaster that has been unfolding for decades. From those initial sightings, the eels have moved steadily through interconnected waterways, their expansion aided by their own remarkable mobility and likely by unknowing human activity. They can tolerate a range of water conditions, including brackish water, which opens up estuaries and coastal areas as potential new frontiers for their invasion. Unlike the python, which is often spotted crossing roads or basking in the sun, the swamp eel lives a hidden life. It operates out of sight, making it difficult for scientists and wildlife managers to track its true numbers and distribution, but every new sighting confirms the grim reality. The invader is on the move. The ecological damage caused by the Asian swamp eel is profound and, in many ways, more fundamental than that of the python. While pythons target larger animals higher up the food chain, swamp eels attack the very bottom, causing a total system collapse. In areas of the Everglades like Taylor Slough, where scientists have monitored their impact, the results are staggering. The presence of swamp eels has led to a catastrophic decline in the biomass, the total weight, of small fish and crustaceans, like crayfish and shrimp. Studies have shown this prey base plummeting by nearly 70%, essentially hollowing out the ecosystem from within. These small creatures are the bedrock of the food web, and their disappearance has ripple effects that travel all the way to the top. This collapse of the aquatic prey base has had a devastating effect on one of Florida's most iconic groups of animals, wading birds. Species like the wood stork, great blue heron, and various egrets and ibises depend on dense populations of small fish and crayfish to feed themselves, and crucially, their young. The success of their nesting season is directly tied to the availability of this food. With the swamp eels consuming nearly everything in sight, the biomass of prey species critical for these nesting birds has collapsed by almost 80% in some invaded areas. This threatens not only the survival of the birds themselves, but also undermines the multi-billion-dollar Everglades restoration effort, which aims to restore the natural water flow and habitats that these magnificent birds rely on. The swamp eel's burrowing behavior adds another layer to its destructive impact. During Florida's natural dry season, water levels recede, and many aquatic habitats shrink or dry up completely. This process normally concentrates native fish into deeper pools, making them easy prey for wading birds and alligators. However, the swamp eel doesn't play by these rules. When the water disappears, it simply burrows into the mud and waits, surviving the drought underground. This means that when the rains return, the eels are already in place to feast on the few native species that survived, preventing the prey populations from ever recovering. They have effectively erased the seasonal breathing room that once allowed native ecosystems to reset and rebound. When compared to the Burmese python, the true danger of the swamp eel becomes clear. Pythons have famously wiped out 80 to 99% of mid-sized mammals, like raccoons and opossums, in the southern Everglades, a shocking and visible tragedy. The swamp eel, however, conducts its destruction invisibly. It is causing a parallel collapse in the aquatic world, creating ecological deserts underwater where life once thrived. Some experts have argued the eel is a greater long-term threat because it destroys the food supply for everything else: larger fish, alligators, turtles, and wading birds. It doesn't just eat the animals at the top, it starves them by eating their food first, ensuring a more permanent and widespread restructuring of the entire ecosystem. One of the most frustrating aspects of the Asian swamp eel invasion is the sheer difficulty of controlling it. The very traits that make the eel such a successful invader also make it nearly impossible to capture or eradicate once it becomes established. Traditional fishing methods are almost completely ineffective. Its slender, slippery body easily slips through the mesh of conventional nets. Traps designed for other aquatic species are often ignored or easily bypassed. Even more advanced techniques like electrofishing, which uses an electrical current to stun fish and bring them to the surface for collection, have proven to be of limited use against an animal that can simply retreat deep into the mud. The eel's burrowing ability is its ultimate defense mechanism. When threatened, or simply when conditions are unfavorable, it can retreat into a complex network of burrows that can extend several feet into the dense mud and sediment at the bottom of a waterway. This behavior renders it untouchable. Aggressive trapping campaigns in invaded areas have failed to make a significant dent in their populations and have shown no success in restoring the original ecological balance. Once the swamp eel takes over a drainage system, there are currently no reliable methods on record to reverse the invasion. The ecological damage appears to be permanent, a grim reality for wildlife managers. This high level of resilience means that the focus for state and federal agencies has shifted from eradication to containment. It is a battle that can only be won by preventing the eel from reaching new, uninvaded territories. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, along with federal partners like the United States Geological Survey, are now pouring their resources into early detection. The strategy is to create a defensive line, to hold the eel back from pristine rivers, lakes, and marshes that have not yet been compromised. This approach, however, is entirely dependent on knowing where the eels are and where they are heading next, a task that is impossible for agencies to accomplish on their own. The challenge is immense, as the eel's potential range extends far beyond Florida. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service has classified the swamp eel as a high-risk invader for the entire southeastern United States, given its tolerance for the region's climate. Established populations have already been found in neighboring Georgia, as well as in Hawaii, proving its adaptability. This makes the fight in Florida not just a local issue, but a critical front in a much larger national battle against invasive species. If the eel cannot be contained in Florida, it is only a matter of time before it spreads further, threatening freshwater ecosystems across the country. With professional eradication methods proving ineffective against an established population, the most powerful weapon in the fight against the Asian swamp eel is public awareness. State and federal agencies simply cannot be everywhere at once. The front line of this battle is now composed of everyday citizens, the anglers casting lines into canals, the boaters exploring remote waterways, the hikers walking along marshy trails, and the homeowners living alongside Florida's thousands of lakes and ponds. These are the eyes and ears needed to track the eel's spread and provide the crucial early warnings that can trigger a rapid response in a new area before the invader has a chance to dig in. In January 2025, recognizing the escalating threat, wildlife agencies issued renewed public pleas for assistance. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and the United States Geological Survey are urging anyone who thinks they may have seen a swamp eel to report it immediately. It is vital not to guess or assume it is a native species. The eel can be identified by its lack of fins, its single V-shaped gill opening on its throat, and its snake-like olive-brown body. Any sighting, no matter how uncertain, is valuable information. People can report these sightings through dedicated hotlines or online platforms, such as the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's Invasive Species Reporting website or the United States Geological Survey Non-Indigenous Aquatic Species Database, often with the ability to upload a photo for positive identification. This call to action extends beyond just reporting. Public education is key to preventing new introductions, which is how this invasion started in the first place. Pet owners must be reminded to never release unwanted aquarium animals into the wild. The live food trade, another potential source of introduction, requires strict oversight and public vigilance. Simple actions, like cleaning, draining, and drying boats and fishing gear before moving between different bodies of water can also help prevent the accidental transport of eels or their young to new locations. Every citizen who spends time near the water has a role to play in containing this silent threat and protecting Florida's precious natural heritage. The story of the Asian swamp eel is a stark reminder that the most impactful invaders are not always the largest or most visible. They can be quiet, hidden creatures that work methodically to unravel an ecosystem from its very foundation. The future of Florida's wetlands, its world-renowned wading bird populations, and the health of its entire aquatic food web may depend on the vigilance of ordinary people. By learning to identify this predator, understanding the danger it poses, and committing to reporting every single sighting, we can collectively become the guardians that our fragile ecosystems so desperately need. The fight is far from over, and your help is more critical than ever.